Fly, fly, oh to be a fly. Fly, fly, come and be a fly on the wall.
Hello there. Our house is a trash can. Come on in. I am your favorite comedy internet bitch, Amber.
And I'm Ben.
Great. And we're just two grouchy Oscars trying to navigate our personal and actual garbage. We're here to share our stories of dating, parenting, and what happens when you record it all for the world to see. Ben, the analogies is
Oscar the Grouch.
It's a little Sesame Street nod. You don't even like
Yeah.
Sesame Street, though.
It's good. I think it's good. Wild was watching some Sesame Street, so I was inspired. Even though I think Oscar the Grouch is a sort of inspired by like a grumpy taxi driver.
Yeah.
And then I also think you could read into it as like a grouchy homeless person.
Yes.
Like a metaphor into a grouchy homeless person.
I think the grouchy homeless person analogy works a little bit better. And then also, even recently, Sesame Street was like, Sesame Street has been a little bit more progressive in addressing some like real social ills, if you will. And I mean, maybe like a year or two ago, it was like Sesame Street reveals its first unhoused character. And everybody was like, well, just fuck Oscar then. Like, he's been holding it down. He checked that box. Like, well, so there were just all these memes and stuff about like, I'm sure Oscar's like, interesting that that's our first person without a home on the cast, because I could have sworn I lived in a fucking garbage can.
Yeah, it's a little strange to think, oh, we need representation of unhoused people, as if like that's what unhoused people really want.
Yeah, there's like, I don't want to be unhoused. How about you just give me a house? But anyway, yeah, you're right. That's shitty.
We have these stickers because we record at Spotify, so
Yeah.
I don't know where to put it.
I put it on my thigh.
Yeah, I put it on my thigh, but I was like, wait, what are the cameras can still see it? Yeah, so basically, so people know that we are part of the Spotify people, family, and friends. I have to find a spot to put it. Maybe on my head.
Just take it off. They know your name. Just take it off. Just put it. It's literally on my thigh. Anyway, before we get started with the show, as always, are you looking at me? I'm looking at you. As always, we want to thank those patrons out there, those people that give $1, $2, $5 a month to just help us support and that support us and help us produce this show. We greatly appreciate you. Are you mocking me?
No, I'm saying thank you, like sensually. Thank you. I'm mouthing the words thank you.
Oh, we're going to get into some sensual internet things here in a minute, but we do thank you. Another special thanks to everybody who has watched the documentary We're Pregnant and Other Lies, also found on the Patreon. So thank you for doing that. And if you would like to become a member of our Patreon, you can find the link in the show notes, okay? At the bottom on YouTube or on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Anyway, the first segment of our show is called #Influence because, we're creators on the internet. So we like to, we're pretty behind on internet trends sometimes. Also because we filmed the show early. So.
And also we're busy making our own trends. Boom.
Boom. You know what? Speaking of which,
Trendsetter.
I think I'm going to be a new trendsetter. Do you know, I didn't write this on the outline, but do you know what my new trend's going to be?
Goddess locks?
No. I'm old to those, but thank you. Do you like them? Are you loving them?
Yeah, they're gorgeous. I guess you're not the trendsetter for those.
No, definitely not. I feel like Megan Good and then Chloe and Halle Bailey are sort of really trailblazing. If you can think of any others, please, let me know. Put me on game. But those are the girlies to look out for in the Goddess Lock game. But thank you. Do you like the Goddess Locks?
Yeah, they look divine. Boom.
Good answer. Okay, Ben, I am starting slowly but surely a very auntie trend of tasting and eating lots of different sardines or canned fish in general.
Is that why there's like 7 different sardine cans in our Amazon list?
That would be correct. I bought them. Yeah. The other day, Ben was like, I'm sorry, who the fuck spent $90 in sardines? I was like, here's the thing.
Of like various
grilled mackerel, grilled lobster in a can.
But also you're ordering them from online, from Amazon. Like, why don't you just go to the grocery store? Are you like averted?
Why don't most people just go to the grocery store?
Because they're doing other things.
They're
I
doing
suppose.
other things. Also, I didn't write this. We having fun today. I didn't write this on the show either. But remember, did a certain someone come home last night and say they got into a fight with somebody at Whole Foods?
I didn't get into a fight. I got into a tiff.
Physical. Okay.
I got into a tiff with somebody because they were forming a queue incorrectly, and it looked like they were waiting for a new line to open up. Also, there's a whole thing to this story. Basically,
At Whole Foods, yes.
it deals with California laws and
Oh,
yeah.
it was that deep.
Oh, the rabbit hole is far, far down, man.
So that's another reason
Potions.
why I shouldn't be grocery shopping, because now you making enemies down to the Whole Foods.
I'm not making enemies, and also it devolved to me thinking about like how a British accent that has been incepted by like an American accent just sounds so freaking annoying, you know? Like what, you know, obviously you grew up with a English accent and now you have this Americanized accent because you've been here too long, and now you just sound like an annoying Karen. Like your level of Karen just increased by like 1,000-fold. So, all right, I'll explain the story very quickly. Basically, I wait in the self-checkout line. I'm going to hang out with a friend. We're going to watch this movie, Pulse. Really great. Talk about it later. And I get some beer, except in California, or specifically this Whole Foods, you can't get beer at a self-checkout line. So that deals with the California law. Illinois, you could, right? It was very easy. Go to self-checkout. They check your ID. Moving on. Okay. So I get out of line once I realize I have to wait in a regular line. I see a queue forming as a new person is opening up a new line. So I was like, oh, all right, I'll just walk farther down where other people are waiting in line. So I walk down, get into another line, and this woman, like I hear this woman talking behind me in this annoying like British/English/American bullshit accent. And I was like, what? So I make eye contact with her. She's like, you're rude. I was like, what?
So you didn't cut her, but she thought you cut her.
She thought I cut her because she didn't know how to form a line. She's an idiot. So I was like, I've never seen a line form there. I'm not an idiot. I'm like, I'm not rude, but you're just an idiot. And I was like, if you want justice, go work at your local food pantry.
You said that to her. Okay. So let me ask you a question. Was she the only person? And I'm before I take sats, because you know I'm Team Ben all day long. But
no, you're not.
Yes, I am.
I don't want you to be Team
I am
Ben
in
all
public.
day long.
I am in public. I cut your ass out of the house, but I am in public. Oh, you bet your ass.
Oh, okay.
I will cut somebody for you. Now, when I get home, I'm cutting you, but I'm not gonna do that.
Public. Okay. Yeah,
I think that's
suppose.
fair, and I would hope you would do the same thing to me. My only question is: was she the only person upset, or were there others who looked upset as well?
She was the only one that
Just
was
her.
upset.
Nobody else gave you an eye roll.
No, no.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I mean, maybe, but my attention was so focused on her. The first person waiting in line to the new checkout counter that was open, he was fine. It was
Great.
like him and a partner or something.
And like I said, sometimes the onus is on the Whole Foods employees to be like, "Hey, there's some more spots. Go further down." But if nobody does that, it's like it's a free game out here.
Also, I don't know why I even responded to her. Like,
I agree.
No one knows her.
Oh, who knows you?
The people listening to this podcast, obviously.
Yes, so.
No, I was like, why am I being rude to this person? I was like, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, like in a really obnoxious voice.
I know that voice because you do that voice to me, and I'm like, oh, we get into you.
It was
you
just
think I'm
very
stupid?
immature. I was like, wow,
Yes.
I'm a full-grown 33-year-old man with a child, you know,
Up here acting like Oscar the Grouch.
making mortgage payments, you know, making funny comedy, writing and reading books, and enjoying my life, and I'm arguing with someone.
Very ghetto.
Hood.
Well, it's not cute when you say it. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
It was quite hood of you. Yes.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Hood does not see color.
Right.
Hood.
That's great. I like that. Anyway, speaking of hood rat things and
I'm
shenanigans,
gonna get canceled on this one.
we I feel like those who fuck with us, they still here. And thanks everybody else for giving us a chance. So what's been happening in the internet streets this week? So we have these NPC AI TikTok trends and lives. Okay, so why don't you, to us non-gamers, explain on a very basic level, like to a kindergartner, what the hell an NPC is?
NPC stands for non-playable character.
Okay.
It's a video game term, so sometimes when you play video games, you choose a character, and that's the character you play. And as you're going around in the open world or a sandbox game, you will encounter characters that are non-playable characters, and they're just there to sell you maybe a new gun or a new car or a potion, right? Depending on what game you're playing. And so what will happen is you'll ask them a question, you'll have a choice, and they'll respond. And what you can do is you ask them the same question and they give you the same response. The other thing that will happen is if you're walking around, you'll run into that character and they'll be like, ow, or hey, what's up? And they'll just repeat the same thing.
They're just
over and
programmed
over.
to say, okay.
Yeah, and it's a way to feel immersive in the video game. So that is a non-playable character.
So what people have been doing is making apparently a ton of money going live on TikTok is where I'm seeing the majority of the popularity. And I will say, I want to give credit where credit's due. There's a girl named Pinky Doll. She is sort of the pioneer of this whole trend.
Yeah.
But there is a slight air of sex work pandering that you have to participate in to do this trend correctly, because people will send a hot dog and you gotta respond like, "Ugh, glizzy!" Like, so people like to see you almost kind of perform sex acts.
It's
like that's its real
AI,
popularity.
It's like AI actors.
Okay,
So humans pretending to be AI, but playing like a live cam girl.
Yeah,
Situation.
and it's sort of come down to a morality debate, if you will, because it's this, like, on the one hand, it's hard out here. Like, people got to make money how they make it, and it's kind of temporary. So it's like, we don't know how long this trend's gonna last. Might as well get in while you can. But there is some level of like, okay, why are you just like sort of okay with essentially doing sex work on the internet? Or I guess is how most people have been placing a value judgment on it. They're like, I've seen a lot of commentary of like, I would never stoop so low as to, like, you're a grown woman with a child going live and saying like, oh, like a cowgirl. Yes, yes, yes. Have you seen all of the popular ones? Ice cream's so good.
I think the people who are upset are the people who don't know how to do it.
Yeah, I mean, or the things that a lot of the discourse that I've seen that where people angry about it is they're angry about all of the things that we've always been angry about. It's like, well, only like light-skinned, skinny girl, hot girls can be successful at this. Only those with big platforms can be successful at this. It's like, yeah,
Okay.
but you're free to go do it. I've seen some other more niche than this ones. I've seen like a hood rat NPC AI. I've seen like, what soccer player does it or whoever. Kev on stage made a really funny, like, if you were AI but you're saved. So he's like, God. Like, it's,
That's funny. That's creative. So
Very
the
creative.
way this works and how it connects to video game is that your choice in a video game, you decide to give a response with your interaction with this NPC, and that response elicits a response from the NPC. So your choice in this is choosing to give someone money in the form of an emoji. So the way these people are making money is that you spend $1, $2, you give them an emoji, and that emoji elicits the same response every single time. And so you, as the AI actor, you get to come up with your creative responses, but you are consistently doing it, and you're doing it in this sort of jilted, robotic way. And that is where the acting comes in. And so there's a level of skill where you have to come up with your responses, which I respect.
Yeah, that's funny. That's unique.
And then you have to say it repeatedly. And then you also have to have really great, like, body work in the sense of, like, doing the same thing over and over, keeping the same position.
Some good physical.
I think it's really funny.
Yeah.
Now, why is this getting popular? And I think it also comes down to this idea of humans really desiring control. There's something sort of hot where you can fool your mind into thinking, I'm going to give this human money and I'm going to elicit a response from them. And that gives me some sort of a level of like puppeteering.
Or control.
I'm a puppeteer.
Yeah.
And so it plays with that fantasy. And then because a lot of women are doing it, it delves into this like sexual fantasy as well.
Yeah, and it can feel cringy and icky. And like,
it can feel cringy and icky. But you are giving money. So it's similar to like throwing money at a strip club.
Right. So we can't. I like that analogy because we can't turn our noses up at the practice of it when we've done things like this for years. Just it's been different settings.
Also,
but you went to the strip club and made us think about it. Remember?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't make a stink. I just was like, oh, this is interesting. You know, there's no unions. I'm curious of what kind of protection they provide.
Right.
And then also there was a whole conversation, do strip clubs need unions? Does every sort of organized work need unions? And that's its whole other conversation where maybe in some situations a union is needed and others it's not. And then other people will say, no, whenever there's a group of organized workers, whether it's strippers or postal workers, they need a union. So you can sort of have that debate. And there are great information on both. What I'm more interested in is specifically like this idea of sex work and people calling it sex work.
Okay.
Because in that way, you'd have to say like, Jennifer Aniston, when she does the Pantene Pro V commercials, she's a sex worker. She's selling sex by like dressing a certain way and flowing her hair a certain way.
To a level, yeah.
So sex, like these people are not performing sex acts. They're implying sexuality. And does that make them a sex worker? Well, if that's your logical thinking, then anybody who's in like a Pantene Pro V commercial, anybody who's selling like Dove whatever lotion, like, the women like rubbing lotion on their skin, like that's selling sex.
Yeah, you're right.
There's a hint of sexuality there. So in a way, we're all sex workers,
a little bit, yeah.
But also if that's your logical thinking, then that becomes disrespectful for actual sex workers. Because you're like, well,
okay.
I'm not actually.
I think there are varying levels, though.
These people are not performing sex acts live on TikTok.
Right.
Like, but sex workers on like Pornhub and OnlyFans, those people are actually performing sex acts, and their decision to do that becomes more under fire than someone who is like, glizzing.
I do think that this has forced us to think and evolve our definition of sex act, though, and expand it a little bit.
But it's not a sex act. I don't think you can call these people. I don't think you can call these people sex workers who are.
I don't think you can call them sex workers, but I do think this whole trend has pushed my definition of what a sex act is a little bit, for sure.
They're not like sucking dick on TikTok Live, though.
I know, but there's a suggestion of it that people are paying more for hot dogs versus like. And cowgirl,
or maybe hot dogs are just delicious.
Oh, you may be riding like a cowgirl.
Yeah,
like
obviously.
There's some suggestiveness of that. I don't think I would call it sex act, but I do think we need a word to call it something.
Yeah, you're selling sexuality. Sex sells.
Sex, but it's not a sex act. But
it's not a sex act.
What's something between acting?
It's innuendo.
It's sex prov.
Yeah, it's sex prov.
Sex
it's funny.
Prov. Yeah.
It's also funny. It's like
it's funny. Yeah.
People are not looking at some people are looking at the hot dog like and like jerking off, but most people are probably just laughing.
Right, but it is implied that it's like, oh, like I can see some 12-year-old being like, look, I made her suck my dick. What? Like it is some sort of, for most people, you're like, I don't have access to this over here, so maybe this is the closest I can get. It's sex fantasy in some. But I do agree with you about people, like, I don't think it's fair to judge people who have been doing these lives. I don't think
That's
that this
so funny
trend...
that people are judging them.
Like yeah, for sure.
That tells me more about you than the people doing the live.
Yeah, well, because it is sometimes a little hard to watch a creator that, I'll be honest for myself, there's a creator of mine who we're mutual friends, and I've respected their content for a long time, and their content has been very, like, storytelling and things like that. And so when I hopped on because if you don't know what's happening, you're kind of like, is my phone glitching? Us 30 plus are like, what the hell am I looking at? Like, why is friend just going like, and you're like, what? And then you're like, oh, people are paying you emoji hot dogs for you to.
And if you get 6 emoji hot dogs in a row, you have to do it 6 times in a row.
Yeah.
And you'll even say like 6 times.
So it's like, I get it.
6 with the X.
Do I want to see my friend doing it? No. But I like make your money where you got to make it. I'm with that.
Yeah, I mean,
Will I
I don't
be
want
doing
to
this
sit
shit?
down
Absolutely the fuck
watching
not.
you do 13 hours of you getting your goddess locks. I don't want to sit down and watch you do that.
Right.
So, like, but I'm not going to knock you doing it because it,
Right.
it,
Of course.
it,
Yeah.
makes you feel
That was
good.
a leap. That was a leap. I
I'm
was
just
like,
saying
wait,
it's like, why judge this person? You're like, oh, that's not for me.
No, I'm not judging. Yeah, I'm very like, that's not for me, and I'm not here to consume that content, but that doesn't mean you should stop making that content.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that way about when people post like cringy girlfriend-boyfriend content too. I'm kind of like, this is not this. I fell down the wrong algorithm with this shit, but like that doesn't mean y'all shouldn't be cute.
Yeah, I don't see what the big deal is. I think
It's not a big deal. I'm just saying we're talking about it.
People are making it a big deal. That's
yeah,
what I'm saying. I don't understand why people are so upset about this. I think it's interesting. I think it is playing with a human desire for control, and specifically men's desire to live out a fantasy of sexual control.
Right.
But if men are living out that fantasy through sexual control through like TikTok emojis and giving, creators money, I think that's better than them going and trying to pick up someone at the bar and treating them like shit.
Here's what it is. It's just so we have never had this level of like explicitity, if that makes sense. Like we all roboting and navigating our lives do implicit things that are us essentially selling our souls to the devil. But we've never had people be like, hey, y'all, I'm about to go live. And if you see me eoing like a donkey, that's what I'm doing. So we've never just gotten that behind the curtains part of it as much. Like I'm about to go do something cringy for 4 hours. Watch me do it.
Yeah, that's like all early YouTube.
Right. But I don't think currently, like, we'll see people doing kind of cringy things, but not explaining why they're doing it.
You think
or whatever.
the cringiness of this trend is new? I disagree. I think it's what makes it new is the response it elicits.
I think this one is kind of
yourself...
it's a little more cringy than things that we've seen in the past. But but we have seen cringe.
Yeah.
I do think it's a little cringy for somebody to be like, I'm about to go get paid 6 hot dog emojis to act like I'm sucking dick.
I feel like
that's a little cringy.
What about, but wonder if you're, flipping hot dogs at Nathan's hot dog stand and getting paid like minus minimum wage for a lot of these people are getting...
No, I understand why the girls are doing it.
Yeah.
I
You're getting paid actually equitably. You're getting paid more equitably.
You are getting paid equitably.
Than flipping actual hot dogs and feeding actual hot dogs to real people because Nathan's hot dog... like don't give a fuck about you, where your fans who...
But I think we feel like this about all things. Like it was the age of people being like, I'm about to go file this PPP loan and I ain't got no business. It's like, damn, you telling people you doing it? Okay. That's a little cringy,
Mm-hmm. What is cringy? I've never really understood that because I guess I live my life in cringe.
Yes, you do. Cringy's like when you're like, I don't know if I would do that, but you got it. Like, I see why you're doing it.
It's like judgment. It's like judgy. With like caution. It's like funny, judgmental.
Yeah.
It's like judging, trying to not to be judgy. Cringe is like, I'm cringing.
I'm uncomfortable watching you do this. I'm physically uncomfortable watching this, but I see why you did it.
It's breaking a norm.
Yes, I'm a little uncomfortable with you even telling me that you're doing this for the reason you're doing it. Like, you remember when... I'm going to try to like keep it safe. But you remember when a certain someone told us about this scam that they were going to help this other person pull? Mm-hmm. And I remember being like, that is interesting. Like, so it's some level of, you really going to do that? Okay. It's that.
I guess
it's that in a word.
I don't really feel that way about anything.
I know you don't.
Oh, that's... I'm
do
always
cringe
like,
shit
that's
all the
fascinating.
time.
But even if someone tells me something that breaks a cultural norm, I'm like, oh, that's fascinating. Why would you do that? That's sort of
you're a real bitch.
I just don't care.
Okay, well, the next time something cringy happens, I'll let you know. I'm like, this is not...
Or embarrassing. I get embarrassment.
Yeah. It's a little embarrassing.
It's embarrassment with the judge.
Corny.
You're like judging that person, but you're also embarrassed by that person.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. It's corny. But I so recognize the need to get creative with how we make money in this day and age. So I'm with it. If you got to do it, do your thing. Will you be doing it?
No, I don't feel like putting in the work. It sounds like work, honestly.
It's hours, but well, you know what else is interesting? I think there's a break, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about it. I think there's a breakdown here in those who do streamer and gamer culture and those who don't. I think, and as someone who does not do gamer culture, does not do streaming, long format streaming culture.
You're not
this
a
is kind of. I'm not a Twitch girl, not really. So that to me is like, this is long as hell. Like it's really that serious where you got to sit on this for 5 hours. But to streamers, they're like, wait, you made $700 in 5 hours? Like that's good. Like there's a difference there. Like the way my life is set up, I cannot do anything. I cannot think of a single task that I could do with concentration for 5 hours.
Maybe driving. You're pretty good at driving.
But even that, I need to stop. I need to take breaks. Like
I've seen you drive 5 hours nonstop before.
I know, but and that's when you're like, all right, pull over. It's my turn.
Prior to the pregnancy bladder, though.
Yes.
Yeah, the pregnancy bladder.
Pregnancy bladder, it's a mess down there. So
yeah.
I can't.
I've been seeing a lot more piss stains on your clothes.
That is not true, Benjamin James Wallin. Anyway, you're an imperfect parent. The next segment of our show is about how we parent our child. She is 15 months.
Somewhere
15.
from there.
She's 15, 16
Who's
months.
counting?
This is our first kid. And Ben, what's going on in her world this week?
Dude, I signed her up for gymnastics, and she's killing it. She's tumbling. She's rolling. She's swinging. Is it my question, am I doing too much, right?
No,
She's got gymnastics. She's got music lessons. She's got swim lessons. This kid is not even 2 years old yet.
I don't think you're doing too much. I think sometimes I personally need to mind my expectations about how they're going to be progressing in these programs.
Oh, yeah.
Because I sit and watch swim and see her struggle a little bit every week. So I'm kind of like, okay, we've been in swim for almost a year. When am I going to see some float? Like
that's what you're thinking?
Sometimes, yes. Especially if we skip.
Who are your parents?
Especially if we skip like a week or two and then she's really struggling. I'm kind of like, is this working?
No, it's just about experience. It's not about gaining a new skill. Freaking psycho. God, you're a dance mom to the core.
Ben, at some point, I would like to know when she'll be able to float without you.
When she's like 5. Maybe 6.
Okay, well, that's
6
all.
years, 5
then
years,
that's what
4
I need
years.
to mind my expectations. I need you to, because in my brain, I was thinking, okay, my baby's about to be a future little gymnast. Like, let's go. And then you showed me those videos where she was just in a swing. And I'm kind of like,
well, she was being dragged around. She was like in a weird swing. Like
it was a regular swing.
There were 2 different kinds of swings.
But I will say it did get her up. It got her moving. It got her having fun.
This is the first time I'm hearing this. You're disappointed in our child before she's 2?
I'm not disappointed.
You sound disappointed. You're an imperfect parent for sure.
I am. I'm not disappointed in Wallin.
You're disappointed in her progression.
Well,
You
she's
sound
only been
crazy
in gymnastics.
as hell in the terms.
She's only been in gymnastics for a day, so that's fine. But at some point, maybe it'll take a couple. Am I cringing now? It's cringy. Maybe it'll take a couple years, but I think like I said,
I'm not cringing. I just think you're ridiculous.
For the payment situation, I would like to know when sis will be able to float. That's it. That's all.
You want outputs.
I want outputs. I want
actual
results.
outputs.
Yes.
You know, she's like not part of your business.
She's not.
No, she's a child that's learning and developing. That's not even 2. We're developing fine motor skills now.
She's wonderful.
You're not going to see improvement until, especially your level, probably not until she's in middle school. Like, kids don't progress that kind of way.
I just want to know, okay, realistically, if she is swimming, if she continues swimming from now to age 5, she'll be able to float.
I don't know. This is a nonsensical question.
You don't know?
I don't care. She needs
so
the
you're
experience.
comfortable paying for 5 years of swim lessons and her potentially not being able to float?
Yeah, because
Just
I get to
float.
spend quality time.
I'm not asking her
Live
to
in
be
the
Michael
present.
Phelps. I'm not asking her to be Michael Phelps. I'm asking for like life-saving floating tactics.
I don't know. Look it up on the internet. We'll find out. Maybe like 3
look it
years. No, don't do it now.
You just told me to look it up. I'm gonna look it up. Well, how do you think she's progressing? I'm just saying.
I
would
don't
like
care
to know,
about her progression.
when can a child float in water?
My whole thing is, am I setting her
What?
up?
Once a child is walking, usually between 12 and 18 months, is when a child can learn to float.
Okay, so she's learning to float. She's not there yet. She's not 18 months.
Great.
We got 3 months. There you go.
Got some time.
Are you literally using benchmarks for your child's swim development?
I think it would be
You're
smart.
going to write them out?
I think it would be smart to. How about this? How about I'm willing to be patient.
For everyone who says, "Oh, adopt me," this is what you'd be getting. Like we get those comments sometimes. "Oh, please adopt me." Really? High expectations right here. So high that you wouldn't even be able to be a baby.
All I'm asking is for float. I ain't asking her to breaststroke, backstroke, freestyle, or what's the other one? It's breaststroke, backstroke, freestyle.
Can't even name them.
It's
That's
four of
you have
them.
expectations.
What's the fourth one, Ben? Butterfly. I ain't asking her to butterfly. I'm not even asking her to caterpillar. I'm asking when the
Caterpillar's
dog.
not a swim move.
I was making a joke, Ben.
Did you take swim lessons growing up?
I surely did.
When did
that
you
was
start?
on the swim team.
When did you start?
Well, my mom did.
I'm sorry,
we
were
were
you 1
toddlers.
years?
We were toddlers.
Were
Yeah.
you were 1 year old?
We were toddlers.
You were 2 years old?
Absolutely.
You started swim lessons at 2 years old.
Yes, and then we took a break, and then in middle school, I was on a swim team.
So you took a break from 2 to middle school.
Well, no, we swam in the summer pool
But
every
swim
summer.
lessons, you took a break from 2 to middle school.
Formal swim lessons, I would say yes.
You started swim lessons at 2.
Yeah,
I'm gonna text your mom later.
You
and ask her
should.
about that.
you should.
Because I don't.
Marsha was on her shit.
I know. I believe that. I just don't think.
I'm just kidding. She's doing a great job here.
I don't think she would choose
Corroborate
between.
that story.
Yeah, I don't see your back then in the 90s, like people caring about swim lessons for a 2-year-old. I remember, maybe 3rd, 4th grade.
I cannot confirm if I could successfully swim, but when I was in 6th grade, I swam competitively.
So she took you to a swim instructing class at 2 years old.
Correct.
Okay. Wow, that's actually pretty cool.
I got receipts. I got pictures to prove it.
Sure. No, I believe it. Yeah.
Why you coming from Marsha? She was a great parent.
No, I'm just saying that back then parents didn't do that. It's more.
Marsha ain't like other parents.
I know. Yeah, that was ridiculous. Why would I ever
Why would you?
assume that? All right.
Oh, I'm kidding. She's doing great. I don't care if she
Let's-
can swim. Who
Let's
cares?
move on. Yeah, I know. Let's move on to I do and don'ts.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's get it. Okay. Here's the thing about it. I have some interesting letters this week. They are short but powerful.
Ooh.
You ready for that?
Sort of like you. You're shorter. You're like what? 5'1",
5'3",
5'3", and you're powerful.
and I can swim. We ready? We love wild, and y'all should love your kids too. The end. Dear Amber and Ben, me and my boyfriend, we live together. We love each other. But he blocks me on all social media. I'm not.
That's a great idea.
Let me start from the top. We live together. We love each other, but he blocks me on all social media. Is that a sign of him cheating or just wanting his own business?
No, yeah, he's cheating. Yeah, we live in a day and age where if you're not connected with your partner on social media, yeah, something's fishy.
I caution to say if it's cheating specifically, but it could be something, going back to our early conversation, it could be something cringy happening. Like he might be scamming people and he doesn't want you to see that. He is being dishonest.
Yeah, there's something
in
there.
some capacity.
Yeah, it's unless you both don't have social media and are not really active. I don't know why go through the effort of blocking you. Yeah, that
Blocking you is
red flag.
strange. And I would like this person to actually reach back out to me and tell me why you were blocked. Was it at some point y'all were dating, y'all were fine, and now he blocked you because you made a comment about something that he posted or some songs that he did. But I feel like if your man blocked you, he's doing something wild over there.
There's got to be a very specific reason. Like, for example, if this person was constantly posting content that you found annoying, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Because going back to our early conversation, this man, I'm just painting pie in the sky things. This man could potentially be like a porn star or something, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe he doesn't want his girlfriend in the comments like messing with the fantasy or whatever. But he could also have a personal page or something.
But
I don't
that's like something you would talk about, or maybe like you would block him because. I'm trying to think of the situation where it would be appropriate.
Let's do this. What would it take for you to block me? What would it take for you to block me since you cackled at the top of the letter?
No, nothing would, because social media. Well, first of all, it's weird because social media is sort of our business together. We have a shared business.
Yeah, that's right.
So I would not be with you and still block you. You know, the only way I would block you is if we had split up.
Right. And it's the living together part. It's like I'm glad that this writer said that, because it's like we're clearly. It would be a little bit more tricky if it's like, well, we don't live together, and then I'd be like, oh, girl, y'all ain't in a relationship. But if you are living together and doing life with this person, and they don't let you see what's going on in their social media, something is this is definitely a red flag.
Let me create a scenario where this could be appropriate.
Oh, please do. You're so good at that.
They would have to recognize why they're doing it. They don't give a reason why he's blocking you. So the reason why someone would block somebody is, let's say this person is in a profession that your parents might not approve of. That could be anything. I don't know. It could even be...
Let's go porn.
Porn, sure. And so you've agreed together to block each other so that there's no cross-pollination between the two. But that's still weird because
very weird.
I don't know.
Like
this doesn't make any sense.
Like if you were a porn star, I would. I mean, I love you down. I would support you. Like, well, what we doing? You want me to do your pics?
That's weird.
You want me to grease your ass? Like, what you want?
Yeah, I can't think of a situation where this is appropriate. So, yeah, maybe he's not cheating, but he's doing something. Just wanting his own business.
There is a red flag for sure.
Maybe like he knows, I don't know, maybe he knows you get jealous, but you would have to agree, like, hey, you're in a business of, we'll use porn, you're in a business of porn, and I get jealous easily, so I don't want to see all the comments of people commenting on your body, but I don't disagree with you doing it, I just have to work through my own jealousy, so let's agree that you block me, and I'm not tempted to go on your page. But that's, maybe, I can't think. And
we like to think of ourselves as like progressive and subversive and all that, but this is and I do like what you said at the second part of this.
Well, this is
of a sentence. Well,
there's nothing progressive. He just doesn't want you in your life. He doesn't want you in his life. That's it, right? Go. I mean,
no, you said it.
He's like, it's not about wanting his own business. He just doesn't.
Well, I do think that it is important in a relationship to have your own identity and to have your own friends, to have your own things going on.
Yeah, but you don't have access to his account. You're not like posting things from his account.
Right, but but you got to understand, like, some people's partners be all in each other's phones. You and I don't do shit like that, but
yeah, but being in your phone is not like following the person on Instagram.
I know.
But
some people like will check like whose pictures did you like today and who you've been messaging, and you got some new followers. I see, like, some people watch each other's pages like that closely.
Yeah, then you need to go to therapy and not date anybody until you figured that shit out.
I would agree. You want to move on to the next one then?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you're being cheated on, but he is being dishonest with you. I need to buy a red flag to wave. This is a huge red flag. I just want to name that. I'm sorry, friend. All right, second one. This is a very, it's a more serious one. Dear Amber and Ben, how do you tell your partner no to sex? I'm coming to the conclusion that I have a problem speaking up to my partner. Every time we have sex, I just go with it. Sometimes in my mind, I'm like, I don't even really want this actually. Sometimes I also believe that men just need a quick nut to start off their day. What do you think?
Yeah. So if I need a quick nut to start out my day, I just say hello to Mr. and Mrs. Han. You know, if Amber's not feeling it, like, hello, Han, my dear friend.
Yeah. And also I want to say, because this was something I learned from having brunch with friends one day. I want you to be very, very clear that your partner masturbating is not an affront on you. It has nothing to do with you. It doesn't mean they don't enjoy sex with you, unless they've like said that, or they masturbate so much that they don't even want to have sex with you. Maybe that's a conversation later. But I remember one time I was, just at brunch with friends, and they're like, my one friend was like, he masturbates so much, like I just feel like he's cheating on me. I'm like, no, I don't believe that. Like, everybody masturbates and should masturbate, so that's not.
But everybody doesn't masturbate, though.
Well, everybody should masturbate.
Yes.
Everybody should learn how to pleasure themselves, learn what they like, what they don't like. So if he needs so that's just to the latter part of it. Like, if he needs a nut real quick to start his day, like, he can totally just masturbate.
Yeah. Go over to the corner and masturbate. I'll throw some pillows at the corner for you. Yeah.
I do want to address because it sounds to me, and before we get like really like dark with this sounds consensual, but you are not being pleasured. There's a lack of intimacy there.
This doesn't sound fun.
This doesn't sound fun. So I don't want people to hear this and be like, oh my God, like, is he just like forcing her to do this? Like, no, she's clearly saying like, I'll do it, but I don't enjoy it.
I just go with it.
This
person says. But sometimes in my mind, like, I don't really want this, actually. So yeah. I mean, say, hey, I'm not in the mood. No.
I swear to God, I thought you just said same. You said say I'm not in the mood. I was like,
oh, same, yeah, same. When Amber initiates, I'm like, I'll go along with it, but I'm really not in the mood. No, just be like, hey, I'm not in the mood. And then if it hurts their feelings, be like, okay, we can talk about it tomorrow, but I need to get ready for the day.
I think there are two camps, right? Camp one is I'm not in the mood. Camp two is sex with you is not pleasurable. Let's actually have a conversation, because I honestly think, I'm speculating, but typically when I talk to other women, it's the sex with this person is not pleasurable and they don't want to say anything. Like, because it can be uncomfortable to give your partner notes on, like, I like that, I don't like that. And it sucks when your partner is kind of like, yeah, but I like doing this for you. Like, there are certain things where I'm like, I know you like to eat me out this way, but I will not come if you do it that way.
Yeah.
And that, like, so do your thing.
Yeah,
but is this
Amber,
for you or for me?
I like when you sit on my face. Amber doesn't like sitting on my face.
I'll do it.
So we had to adjust that.
I don't dislike sitting on your face.
Yeah.
I'm not going to come sitting on your face.
Right. And so I was like, okay, so we have to.
Yeah, because I like the finger and the lick. Yeah.
This has got way too graphic.
Yeah, it did. Sorry.
It's
so funny because my sister.
Remember to put the explicit button.
I will. My sister loves. Hey, Alicia. My sister is every week is like, I've been loving the show, the new format. Yeah. So it's so funny now that she's gonna be like, okay, and we'll give it up.
And we'll give it up. I think my mom listens to this podcast too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So she's gonna hear me talk about how I don't love sitting on your face, but I'll do it.
We all have to make sacrifices.
Okay, but seriously, but I think you should be able to tell your partner, as far like all of your sexual preferences and things like that. Like, I feel like, no shade, we have regular conversations about stuff like that, because we want to keep having sex and it's fun.
You guide me. You sort of give me notes, outlines. We have table meetings after the event.
And the sex is amazing because you're a good listener.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping I listen to you. Now, sometimes it's like, honestly, man, I'm not in the mood. Like the shower stuff, I just can't. Like, I don't want to mess up my hair. I don't want my lashes to fall out. Like, it's levels to the shower for me.
I think people think sex is just something that comes naturally, but great sex is practice, and you can learn from professionals. So, like, reading a book on sex is pretty helpful. It might be, I'm curious, there's lots of great books on sex, like how to just type in like books on sex and maybe read this book with your partner, or have like open conversations about sex.
Yeah. It also sounds like sex in this dynamic is a daily thing,
Yeah.
which, I mean, more power to you, but
Well, apparently not, because they don't want to do this.
But that
daily.
is the thing that is probably making her feel like, oh, this is a wake up and make coffee situation. Like, this is, you just wake up, you hop on top of me, you get your nut for the day, and
it
go.
sounds like a morning thing, like a quick, like, boom, like
to start their day. Yeah.
Yeah.
When in reality, like, sex should be like a bit creative and spontaneous.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna sit here and lie. Like, we're not daily people, but I feel like we have sex at least once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Am I tripping?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, okay, cool. So
But that's pretty normal.
Okay, cool.
I think yeah, once or twice a week for like married couples.
Yeah. If it's like a fun weekend,
Yeah.
maybe like twice in a weekend.
Yeah. Guzzle guzzle.
Let me popcorn.
Popcorn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me ride like a cowgirl.
That is Amber pretending to be an NPC
Yes.
TikToker.
I don't know. I think you should talk about it. You shouldn't feel bad about it. And there should be no language from him saying like, I mean, sometimes I got to get my nut every day. That's mine.
Then buy some hemp lotion that has a little sizzle on it, and then
Ooh, is that a thing?
yeah, hemp lotion can have like I'm like showing with my hands. It sort of has a little Pop Rocks feel, but for the penis.
Have you been using that?
I've Pop Rocks on my penis. I don't have any Pop Rocks. I've not used Pop Rocks on my penis, but I've heard giving someone head with Pop Rocks could be like an experience.
You've heard that.
I've heard about it. Yeah. Amber bought.
That's some early. That's some early Amber.
Yeah,
Ben.
Amber went to a sex store early. Amber Ben, she bought these like sex Pop Rocks, and it's like a little like. But you can buy certain like sizzle lotion.
How did those go for you?
I remember enjoying it. I remember like
really.
It was like a tingle. Yeah. Yeah. It was cool.
I'm gonna buy some. I'm gonna buy some again.
Mass order them like you do your
my sardines.
Sardines.
Maybe I should eat a little sardine. Suck.
Still can't get
Did a
over.
little Pop Rock. Suck.
I did try sardines. They were pretty delicious.
Okay, so what the fuck is you talking about then?
I didn't know what I was talking about. Apparently.
Exactly.
I didn't.
Exactly.
I knocked it. I hadn't had sardines in a while because I used to have them I think of them as being something on pizza,
Oh, like anchovies.
Anchovies, and sort of being disgusted by that. But
I love them. Oh, I want to say this also. I think, Ben, you talked about this on our foreplay starts at 10 a.m. thing. There's also more than one way to have sex. Like, sex, I think we need to expand in our minds what sex can mean. Does that make sense? So, like, I feel like a lot of people think of, like, oh, I had sex today. That just means penetration. When in reality, it's like, why don't y'all just one morning lay next to each other and masturbate? And then the next morning, somebody gives somebody's head. And then the next morning, we do it in the kitchen. And then the next morning, so maybe some variety of the sexual experiences would bring a little bit more fun to the situation. But sex should still be, like, fun and hot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get you some Pop Rocks.
Let's do it.
Anyway, we have come to the section of our show where we just talk about what we're reading and what we're watching. Why don't you start? Because I have my book here, and I'm going to be quoting my book.
I'm reading a 900-page book. 900 pages.
Woo-woo!
It's quite epic. But all right, how do you feel about reading anything over? Like, what's your max limit of reading a book? Is it like over 500, 400?
I think 350.
350. You did read the Cider House Rules. That was
I loved that.
That was like a pretty epic book. I like this book because it deals with wormholes and regeneration. It's called Pandora's Star by Peter F. Hamilton. But basically, people can live for infinity, and after their body starts to deteriorate, they can like regrow parts of their body and put their consciousness into a new body, which is funny. So capitalistic of this, but the author explores like now jobs being like 170 years working at the same job. There's a character who's a detective for 170 years. I was like, of course, if regeneration works, we're going to make it such a way that we lower wages and, defer retirement. There will be no retirement. Companies will force people to work forever because we think like this beautiful technology of regeneration, living forever. It's like, oh my God, now I have to work for 900 years. Fuck that.
Yeah, that's so capitalistic, and I feel like anything we do is like that now, where like you'll hear some good news and then you're like, well, how am I going to work around this?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. Every time I think there's a cool scientific idea, someone comes in and says, no, this is going to be used for the most nefarious purpose.
Yeah.
You know, AI, for example, like, well, you know, AI can be a wonderful tool to do wonderful things, except now, you know, with the actors strike, people want to put in a contract for AI that they use your likeness in perpetuity, which means basically forever as a background. So what you'll see probably in the future, depending on how the actors strike, is you'll have AI characters based off of actors that are used in background scenes. But every time that AI character is in a background scene, the primary actor, the real physical person, is not getting any kickbacks from that. So they're using your likeness for anything. And you'll see this a lot with when we do brand deals with bigger companies. They'll say, okay, you'll make this content. We'll pay you this amount of money, which is great. But now they get to use this content forever and ever, right? So if you make something really, really good for them, they can use that forever and ever. And maybe that could have potentially made you hundreds of thousands, but they only paid you, 10,000 or whatever for that one video. So that's something I find so fascinating with technology, and this is what science fiction does really well, is they take this new technology. They're not really predicting the new technology so much. Yeah. Regeneration has been in sci-fi for a very long time, but they're looking at the sociological impacts that the new technology is going to have.
It's like when Nisi Shaw wrote their book about a pandemic and predicted people would fight over toilet paper. Way before the pandemic.
Yeah, there was like, that's what a science fiction writer does.
Yeah, you're like, how did you predict? Are you a fortune teller? You're like, no, this is how human beings behave. So this is inevitable, which is brilliant.
I really like...
How long ago was this book written? Pandora's Star?
2004.
2004.
Yeah.
And it was talking about AI and nefarious practices of that.
Yeah. This is AI has been a part of the science fiction realm for a very long time. And... regeneration specifically. This doesn't necessarily deal with AI so much, just regeneration. Yeah. Which is this idea of like never growing old. And if you never grow old, companies are going to make you work. They're going to, fuck up your pension. Yeah. I don't know. I love the book. It's good.
It's so funny because I go back and forth on AI. I think we all have a daily, there's some AI that I like. I like when my text message has learned how to autofill in some of the words I say. I'm like, thank you. Yeah. Like my phone now knows
machine learning
to spell wild with an E on the end, even if I'm not talking about her or something like that. But it's stealing the image and likeness of actors, and so you don't have to pay people is insane.
No, because that technology is a good thing. That means that what you can do is you can pay these actors once, put it in the contract that every time they use their likeness, you pay them again.
Oh, it's just the lack of pay situation.
It's the lack of pay situation. So the technology itself is not wrong. It's how humans decide to abuse that technology and not pay actors or the working person their due, right? So it's this technology becomes a way of, cutting corners and making more money because everything is about this ever-increasing market. We got to make growth instead of just sustenance.
Yeah.
So.
I hate that, but I'm glad you're enjoying this book. How far into this 900 page?
I'm like 200 pages, and I bring it with me everywhere. So if you're ever having a hard time reading a book, couple things I'm going to give you because I've read at this point thousands of books. I read
you have
maybe 2 or 3 a week.
Yeah.
Bring the book with you everywhere you go. Just have it in your pocket, in your
the 900 page book.
It's a paperback, so I could squeeze it, and I got big pockets because I'm a man. Men get big pockets.
Got it.
Part of the perks of ladies'
clothes don't
clothes.
Come with a lot of pockets.
Man's clothes. Perks of being a man wearing clothes. Trying to say this correctly. Being a person of man wearing clothes.
Okay.
Because you can wear anybody.
You can also just carry a purse if you want.
You could or put it in put your book in your purse. You could do that as well. Next thing is you need to make a page limit. Write out. I do this all the time. So I write 2 numbers on a Post-it. I write the day and then what page I want to be done at the end of the day. So, if today's the 10th, I want to read 60 pages. I do 10th, 60, 11th, 120, and then I cross it off each day that I hit those marks. It's very satisfying. So put it up, Post-it.
It's satisfying until a bright pink sticky was left in your white jeans, and we've taken it to the cleaners 5 times, and it hasn't gotten the stain out.
Yeah, I have these beautiful Madewell jeans that are just so sexy, and my bulge looks so good in them. And I know it's like one of the few things I admire about myself.
You got a nice bulge.
Thank you. I've been working on it. How
do you work on a bulge? You got a nice bulge.
How do you work on a bulge?
I don't know, but you got a nice one, baby.
I don't take any medication for it either. It's just
you just born that way.
You're reading Detransition, baby.
I'm still reading Detransition, baby. Okay, but I read something so...
That was Amber reaching for her book.
Yes.
Very smoothly.
Here's the book I've been reading. I'm still pushing through it. I'm on page 212, and there's like 300 pages in here, I think. 333. I read something this week in the book that was just so profound that I wanted to bring it here. Okay. I love learning that terms for things exist, but like I've always known that something was nebulous and like had a name, like, but I love learning like, oh, this is the term for that.
I know this exists.
Yes.
I've seen this, and now someone gives me the language,
the rhetoric and the language for it. Yes, like kind of like earlier, I was like, this isn't sex work, but it's not sexual. So what is the name for that? And I'm sure somebody out there is gonna be like, I think, Amber, what you're hinting at is this. Okay. But have you ever heard of the term queer temporality?
No.
Okay. So my book is a very queer, like the author's queer, it's queer storytelling, it's great. And in the book, even though the book is fiction, obviously the characters sometimes are like one character speaking to the other character about real issues and real things that pertain to real life. So in this part of the book, one person, like you're one queer person in the book, and you're kind of like racking your brain about like, I'm 30 years old, like I'm not married, I don't have kids, like why, like my life is coming to absolute the fuck nothing. And I'm your queer friend.
Wait, can you just use characters' names? It's a little weird. When you're like pointing out.
Okay.
Person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your name is.
What's the character's name in the book?
Oh, I don't know what friend was telling. Can we just make up names?
Yeah, just make up a name.
Okay, let's say you're Tammy.
No, don't say it to me. Just a queer person tells another queer person.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So but I have to set the stage of like you're kind of having a midlife crisis.
So there's a queer person having a midlife crisis. Yes.
Tammy's going through it. Tammy's having a crisis.
Okay.
And Tammy's friend Amber, that's as creative as I got in the moment. Tammy's friend Amber is basically saying like, here's why you think you're having a crisis.
Okay.
Can I read that part?
Yeah.
And then this person's saying like, have you ever heard of the term like queer temporality? And of course you're like, no, I haven't.
Wait,
what's that?
You went back from like the individual.
How is that unclear, baby? Like you're having a midlife crisis, and I'm like, I know why you're having a crisis.
In the book?
Yes, in the book.
I'm so sorry.
Because you're having a crisis because of this thing called queer temporality.
Okay. So what is queer temporality?
Exactly, is what Tammy asks, to which my character says...
I swear we do have books discussions.
Yes.
We know how to talk about books.
The notion of queer temporality is the flow of time and the epochs. Is it epochs? EPOCHS?
Epochs.
Epochs that add up to a queer life won't correspond. So basically, a queer life won't correspond to the timeline or even the sequence of events in straight lives. It is meaningless to compare your queer life to a heterosexual's lifeline as though they were horses in the same racetrack, released from the gates at the same moment. So it's saying like, and that's just for your run-of-the-mill queer. Now imagine you're trans. You have to go through at least 2 puberties. By age 30, the financial aids have said that you should have saved 2 years for retirement. But by age 30, trans girls are still discovering like what lipstick shades they like. So it's this,
I understand.
thank you. So it's this idea that like queer people cannot compare themselves to heterosexual or straight people lives as far as where they should be on the timeline of their lives, as far as like career, who they're with, if they should have kids or not. And so I have felt in the past, even though like I'm bisexual, you're bisexual, but we live a presumably pretty heteronormative lifestyle, right? I think I have other queer friends who are dating like I have a woman friend who dates a woman who sometimes feels like I'm 30, you're 30, but you have a kid and your life is progressing differently from mine. I feel like you're moving a little bit faster than me. Or in some cases, you have a friend that's older than you and they're like, I feel like I'm behind all of my straight friends of where I should be in my life. And this book talks about like, you're queer. You can't envision your life like, here's your racetrack and here's this racetrack with a straight person. And because y'all weren't released from the gate at the same time. Like I was, fucking around with boys in high school and like some of my gay friends obviously couldn't really like, just gay friends. Like a gay male friend is like, well, I couldn't have a boyfriend at that time. My hometown is homophobic. My household was homophobic. I couldn't even have my queer awakening until college or later after. So because we were released from the gate at different times, like I can't compare where I am on the timeline with you.
I love it.
Does that make sense?
It does, 100%.
So it's almost been pushing my thinking this week about not just queer temporality, but what are these other temporalities that exist? Like, you were homeschooled. I wasn't. So maybe some of that social temporality for you was further pushed back. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Am I making sense?
It does.
Oh,
Or it could be me being homeschooled allowed me to feel more comfortable in my own skin than probably a lot of other people.
Yeah,
who didn't
yeah.
have that option, right?
Yeah, maybe. But this main character, Tammy, is basically like, I really thought at this age I would have had my life figured out like some of these straight people in my life. And this other queer person's like, but we're queer. It literally can't work like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because we didn't even learn who we were until last week.
Societally, it's impossible.
It's impossible, yes.
Even though society creates this huge overarching timeline, right? We think like, this is the year of our Lord 2023, right. And this is how things are. It's the year 2023.
And you feel that way because you're like, but we have apps now. Like, I don't have to hide. I don't have to be in the closet. People are more accepting, whatever. But the reality is, it's like, especially if you're trans, like you and I experience puberty at different times.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2 puberties, like the book said. So just finding patience with yourself because of this space where you didn't get to leave the racetrack like everybody else.
At the starting point.
At the gunshot. Yeah, I don't know. That got me excited in this week thinking, not excited, but just like, I definitely have a friend who I want to talk to about this because that friend's always comparing how they're doing in life to like how other people around them are doing. And I'm kind of like, I don't want to tell them I read it from a fiction book, but it makes me think.
Fiction gives us a reason to live. Doctors might keep us alive, but fiction gives us a reason to live. And I think this gives us more insight on what it means to be a human and a way to be more compassionate towards queer people in a way that no doctor or no like nonfiction book could ever give us. Fiction makes us feel something. It keeps us alive. There's this really great interview by a well-known actor. I'm trying to remember his name. Kevin, the guy
Hart,
who
right?
Not Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart's hilarious. He's great. But this is the guy.
Bacon.
No. God, Ethan Hawke. So Ethan Hawke has this beautiful interview where he talks about the arts, and he's like, the arts really don't matter. He's baiting us. Mm-hmm. He's obviously a great actor until someone dies, or until you're about to get married, or until those moments in your life where you feel the most down. And it's just this beautiful conversation about like how, and I think he's getting at how schools are cutting out the arts and how people think, I'm a construction person. That's more important than an actor or a
doctor.
writer.
I'm a
doctor.
lawyer. Yeah.
And he's like, yes, until and in this case, he's talking specifically about poetry until you're looking for the words to describe that love that you lost, or until that. And I think when you're dealing with fiction, that's it. This fiction hits it in a way that no other medium could have done. So no doctor could have provided for you. No, psychologist. This is, this was fiction.
And I feel like it can feel, based on my algorithm, that queer temporality is disappearing, because I can look on my phone and see a 12-year-old like out of the closet, very happy with themselves kid. But the reality is, it's like that algorithm, I'm not following any 12-year-old. I was like, wait, what did I just say? But you'll see young kids living their lives freely. So in your brain, you're like, wow, we've come a long way. And then you get off your phone and you're kind of like, that, I think that is a false positive a bit. Like you'll feel like it's shortening, but it's not. And so then I think about like
there's
my
a
own
phenomenon in statistics where we assume other people think like us incorrectly. Yeah.
Yes.
Just if you have a belief of any kind, you make the assumptions walking into a room of people that other people are more likely to share that belief.
Right. And people have that fear all the time. They're like, every day I look on my phone and I see all these trans people. It's like, but how many do you know? Like, you're maybe like there's more visible people on feeds and people aren't being silent like they once were, but those people have always existed. You feel like everybody's trans now, but that's not true. Like when you look at like actual data and numbers,
Yeah.
So I don't know. This notion of temporality, be it queer or otherwise, is just something I've been thinking about all week. Like Black girl temporality. Like what are the things that made me start the race later than everybody else?
Okay. What you were talking about was a little bit different. You're talking about that exposure does not equate with like equality, right?
Right.
Just because you see something doesn't mean that what you see is, omnipresent,
right,
or ubiquitous.
Correct.
Everywhere. But because you see it once, it creates a sense.
I was
that it is
referring to the false
ubiquitous.
positive. Yeah.
Yes. And then, So, we're yes. Okay. I understand now.
Yeah. But it was a cool term I learned this week, and I like learning
Queer
new...
temporality.
Yes.
Temporality is based on our experiences. And if you have a queer experience, that temporality is going to look different than a straight experience. If you're Black, your temporality is going to look different.
Right.
Than if you're white.
Yeah, there's Black temporality. There's women temporality. Like, insert marginalized group, there's a temporality
or just
that exists.
any sort of identity. Or
identity. Yes. If that resonates with you, please sound off in the comments on YouTube, because I'd like to hear, especially if you're a queer person, that you're like, yes, this is exactly how I feel. I didn't even have my first partner until I was 25 or something like that. Anyway, I think that wraps our show. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Fly, oh to be a fly on the wall. I literally can't say the name of the show without singing the song.
Go for it. Sing away.
Anyway.
It doesn't bother me.
Yay. Thank you so much for listening to Fly on the Wallin, and we will see y'all next week for the show. Here goes your outro music. Have a great day. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
You know they're from TikTok, cause those laughs keep you coming, cause they're wildin' all the time. Before wild throws a tantrum, listen to our silly anthem, cause they're wildin' all the time.